What is up, you guys, and welcome to the third edition of the Talkin Mets with Tony podcast. I am your host, Tony Metro. How you doing? If you're a Mets fan, probably not too good right now. The Mets dropped their opening series with the Phillies and really did not look good in any of the three games. In any case, we've got a lot to discuss today, so let's get to it. Taking a look at the docket, we're going to be covering that Mets and Phillies series. Then we're going to go around the league and discuss the biggest news from this week's action in Major League Baseball. And lastly, I'm going to give you guys my predictions for the Mets' upcoming schedule. Before I go any further, as usual, be sure to subscribe to the channel and drop this video a like so you could see more Mets and Major League Baseball content. You guys can also follow me on social media at TonyMetroMLB, where I post my irrational hot takes mid-game for the New York Mets. First things first, the New York Mets finally played their first game of the 2021 season after being postponed for the first 4 days. On Monday night, the Mets took on the Phillies with Jacob deGrom on the mound, and he was terrific. deGrom pitched 6 shutout innings, giving up just 3 hits, 2 walks, and 0 runs. He even did it with his bat, with 2 hits, including an RBI single. But manager Luis Rojas gave deGrom an early hook after just 77 pitches, and the bullpen had its meltdown in the 8th inning. Trevor May loaded the bases before giving way to Aaron Loup, who came in to face Bryce Harper, plunked him with a pitch to force in a run. Next batter, JT Realmuto hits an RBI single to tie the game before Luis Guillorme's throwing error to home on an Alec Bohm ground ball. That brings in 2 more runs. The 2 relievers combined to surrender 5 runs in the inning, and despite a late 2-out rally from the Mets in the 9th, Pete Alonso's bid to give the Mets the lead comes up just short, and the Mets drop their season opener 5-3. Tuesday, Marcus Stroman taking the mound for the first time since September 2019. Stroman, looking to silence the haters, goes 6 innings, allows 1 run on 3 hits with 3 strikeouts and 2 walks. The offense kicked it into high gear that day. 5th inning, score tied 0-0. Dom Smith with a Dom bomb going oppo taco to left. The Mets take a 2-0 lead. On to the 7th, the Mets draw 4 consecutive walks off Vince Velasquez to force in a run. Francisco Lindor would tack 1 more on with a sac fly, his first RBI as a Met. Still in the 7th, 2 outs, Brandon Nimmo steals second base, the throw squeaks into center field, and Kevin Pillar comes home to score. Later in the game, the polar bear, Pete Alonso, with his first home run of the season, a 2-run blast to left. The Mets would go on to win the game 8-4. Wednesday, the Mets looking to take the series in Philadelphia. David Peterson, coming off a strong rookie season, taking the mound and was greeted rudely by the Phillies lineup. A solo shot to right center by Rhys Hoskins gives the Phillies an early lead. The next batter, Bryce Harper, laces a double. JT Realmuto would take a walk next, and after that, the rookie Alec Bohm with a towering blast. The Phillies put up a 4 spot in the first inning on Peterson. Top of the second, Dom Smith leads off with a double. Jonathan Villar hitting in the 6th spot, grounds out. James McCann strikes out swinging. Luis Guillorme would walk, but David Peterson would go down to end the threat. The Mets don't get any runs. The Mets looking to strike again in the 3rd after 2 singles by Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor to start the inning. Michael Conforto flies out to right, and both Dom Smith and Jonathan Villar go down on strikes. The Mets are only able to scratch out 1 run on a Pete Alonso single. After his rocky first, Peterson settled in nicely, giving up 2 hits over the next 3 innings before the Phillies broke through in the 5th. Now, stop me if you've heard this before. Rhys Hoskins with a leadoff double. Bryce Harper with a bunt single. Jacob Barnes makes his Mets debut in relief of Peterson and promptly gives up a 3-run bomb to JT Realmuto on the first pitch, blowing the game open to 7-1. In the 6th, another opportunity for Conforto with runners on first and second. He again goes down swinging. Conforto left 9 runners on base on Wednesday and 13 in the series. Dellin Betances made his season debut, and it was a lot of what we saw last year. He hits Roman Quinn to lead off the 6th inning, walks Andrew McCutchen before giving up a run on a fielder's choice, and the Mets would go on to lose the game 8-2 and drop the opening series to the Phillies. I just have 3 words. What the f***? Okay, really, that was a tough open to the season for the Mets. Monday looked like it was in the bag. Jacob deGrom on the mound, absolutely rolling through 6, and he's pulled with 77 pitches. Now, look, I get it. You don't want to push your ace too far on the opening week. He hadn't pitched in 10 days. I would never want to risk that with DeGrom. But at 77 pitches, I saw no reason why DeGrom couldn't go out for the 7th inning. Then the two new and really only additions to this bullpen come in and get off on the wrong foot immediately. Trevor May couldn't command his slider and Loop hits Harper to force in a run. Then Guillorme with the sloppy throwing error brings in 2 more, and it was just so reminiscent of a game from 2020. Thursday was not equally as painful, but actually, yeah, it was. I mean, I have high hopes for David Peterson. He's shown me he can bear down when the going gets tough, but a 4 spot in the 1st inning is a big hole to climb out of. I'm impressed he was able to make it through 4. I probably would have pulled him after that instead of letting him going out for the 5th. But again, the bullpen does this team no favors. The very first pitch of Jacob Barnes' Mets career is a 3-run homer. The Mets bullpen combined to pitch 10 innings this series and gave up 7 earned runs, 13 total if you include the 6 that they inherited. This bullpen without Seth Lugo is not set up for success. I've implored the Mets to go out and sign Shane Green for months now, who's still a free agent. At this moment, the bullpen just doesn't look any better than it did in 2019 or 2020. As for the offense, the Mets go 6 for 29 with runners in scoring position in the series. Michael Conforto, like I mentioned, rough series for him. Left 13 runners on base over the 3 games. The bullpen was infuriating, but the Mets had ample opportunities to score runs in both losses and failed to capitalize. I know it's early, but these 2 trends need to change if the Mets want a chance to go far this year. The positives, Jacob deGrom looks to be in Cy Young form already, but perhaps even more importantly, Marcus Stroman looked great in his first start in 18 months. If he continues to give the Mets 6 solid innings every time out, the Mets are going to be just fine while they wait for the return of Noah Syndergaard and Carlos Carrasco. I've admitted I'm not the biggest fan of his, but I am really happy and very proud of Marcus Stroman. Alright, let's go around the league and recap some of the big storylines. The Braves started their season 0-4, but finally get off the schneid. They sweep a doubleheader from the Washington Nationals today with 7-6 and 2-0 victories to bring their record to 2-4. Hey, don't write them off just yet. Trevor Bauer made his second start for the Los Angeles Dodgers today. First inning, a ball that Bauer pitched is taken out of play, reportedly to be examined by Major League Baseball. This coming after the investigation that linked him to using banned substances on balls. Bauer pitched 6 2/3 innings, giving up 2 runs for the day. Meanwhile, Nick Castellanos was ultimately suspended 2 games for his actions that led to the brawl between the Reds and the Cardinals over the weekend. Castellanos, as we discussed previously, slid into home plate, stood over Cardinals pitcher Jake Woodford. Castellanos has appealed the suspension and is eligible to play until a decision is made by the league. Reds manager David Bell was disappointed that the league issued a suspension and believes that players should be allowed to play with emotion and that would ultimately eliminate retaliation with hits batsmen. Personally, I find it interesting that there was discipline for Castellanos, but none between the Cubs or the Brewers. Wilson Contreras was hit on the helmet in the first game of their series and again in the second game of the series. In fact, multiple members of the Cubs were also hit or thrown out throughout the entire series. No action by Major League Baseball. All I'm saying is there needs to be consistency in these rules. And last, let's wrap up the video with my predictions for the next slate of games for the Mets. So, opening week, I predicted the Mets would start the season 4-2 with series wins versus both the Nationals and the Phillies. The Nats series, of course, was postponed, and the Phillies took 2 out of 3. So, I'm 0-1 on the year. Starting Thursday, the Mets open a 3-game series with the Miami Marlins in New York. I got the Mets taking 2 of 3 from the Marlins. The Mets will then host the Phillies for a 4-game set. You know what? I don't want to predict the Mets are going to win every series this year, but let's get some retaliation. I think the Mets take 3 of 4 from Philly, even up their season series with the Filth, and the Mets are going to go 5-2 for the week of April 8th through April 14th. They get over 500, where I think they will stay for the remainder of the 2021 season. And that is it, you guys. That is the latest edition of the Talkin' Mets with Tony podcast, your place for the latest Mets and Major League Baseball news. Be sure to tune in for the next episode dropping this Sunday for a recap of the Mets-Marlins series and the rest of the action throughout the league. Until then, I have been your host, Tony Metro.